What's up, everybody? It's Brian back with another video updating my stats. So, last week was the first week of November, actually. I had a few performance issues that this upcoming week or this past week, I got ahead of. This upcoming week was a pretty solid week overall. You know, let's get into the stats. So, this past week, the 10th through the 14th, I made $630. Couple red days, but overall, mainly green, which is actually pretty good. I did mismanage a couple positions, but it was actually a pretty good week. So let's get into the breakdown. So Monday, I took a long position on ES. I took the MES contracts pretty much right at the open. This is my system, just the hourly continuation, and it looked like we were just gonna send off the open. Took this position primarily because we broke the 8 a.m. high. This is at the open. We broke the 8 a.m. high, and then we broke the overnight London highs, which was this area was like huge resistance overnight. We couldn't get above it for hours on end. So as soon as we got above it, I took the longs. I was targeting 650, a little bit higher for a 2R. I risked about $300 on this trade, a little bit less, like I lost 260, which is not bad. This is a pretty standard trade, standard loss. Nothing, no performance issues on this. Price went up, we consolidated for a bit, and then we rolled over. It is what it is. I actually think throughout the day, it actually came back and went higher. Oh, I did make a mistake on this trade though. So this trade was actually a $275 loss, but I left a floating order. So like randomly throughout the day, I got a notification that a sell order was filled. And then I ended up just closing it out real quick, which actually brought the cost down like $10. So price did go in my favor. I had the right thesis. I was on the right side. It's just the market rolled over before it continued. So being early is the same as being wrong. It's just moved on. Now, Tuesday was a good day. This one was a bit of a mental battle. I actually stayed in this position for like almost 3 hours. This is pretty much my standard system. Just on the hourly chart, I took a long, same thing around right off the open, because this is just a bull flag. We pulled back overnight. At the open, we started to push up higher above the 8 a.m. high. And if we're going higher, I always get long. My stop was a bit wider on this. I'm not sure if you guys could see it, but I have an hourly level at 68.29, which acted as support, like perfect support. This trade, I'm really proud of this trade because I got into it initially around 68.46.25, like just my standard size. I put $300 into the position, just expecting it to go higher. Price chopped around a bit. We created a lower high on the hourly chart. So this was the 8 a.m. low. At 9 a.m., we created another low at 68.37.50, but then started to head back higher. So I added to this position. So the initial risk on this position was about $300, and then I added it to closer to like $600, $700 range. Price did pull back, and I was in drawdown for like 2 hours. But my system is built on the hourly chart, and I had a really good stop loss. My line in the sand was this level. After price pretty much just consolidated for a bit, around 12 o'clock, price started to send. And then I started scaling out. I did scale out early just because I was in the position for so long. I kind of just was over it a bit, and I did not want to give back anything. But pretty much this is the 5-minute chart. I stayed off of the 5-minute chart this day because I know watching this type of price action, it'll get your head spinning, and I know I'll interrupt my trades. That's something I've been working on. So I got in off the open. Price came back, did not stop me out, which was beautiful. My stop loss, like this is like what, a point, less than 2 points from stopping me out. This is the type of edging in the market I love to see. Price popped up, created a double top. I noticed here that there was a lot of selling pressure at 68.50. So then I put a note just to remind myself that there's probably a passive seller here. I didn't change anything. I was willing to be stopped out. And if I was stopped out here, it would have been like a $700 loss. Willing to be stopped out, confident in my trade. And I let it play out. And then price started to work in my favor. I front run my position, which is a bad habit. But around 12:25, I just locked in some profits because I sat here for 3 hours. I might as well get paid for the position. And then I just got out the rest of my position at 12:50. I just took the 1R. It was a good day. It ended up being my best day of the week. Made $575 in 3 hours. That's really good. Can't beat that. Then we got Wednesday. Wednesday came around. I took a short. I don't like flipping long, short throughout the week because my positions are built on the hourly chart. I like to just see continuation. If we start heading higher, I like to just continue to head higher. When we start flipping back and forth like that, performance-wise, it kind of gets a bit messy. So this was one of those days on Wednesday where I took a short position, even though I came into the market long, which is great because I just focused on my system. The problem that I had this day is I left money on the table because I just couldn't hold the position. I didn't really have trust or faith in the position because I came in long biased. Still ended the day pretty good, $178 win. So I got in short here. It was a breakdown of the 9 a.m. low, and this was the low of day. This is a 5-minute chart. So we started to break down. Since I was short, even though I was long bias, I didn't want to be greedy with my profit target. Normally I would have a 2R. I think the 2R was like, would have probably been around 68.47 or 68.46, around this area, a breakdown of 68.50 psychological level. So price comes down, like it starts working relatively quickly. So like maybe like 10 minutes of consolidation, and then we start sending it down around 10:30. We edge my take profit. Now this is the edge I do not like. I don't like this at all. We edge it by 1 point. Price pulls back. Now I'm at break even. I still sit in the position. I sit in the position for maybe like 20, 30 extra minutes. Price pulls back. It comes down. Now it edges me again. And this is what, maybe 10:50 area, almost 11, edges me. And it creates a higher low. So now my nerves are shaking. I'm like, oh, damn. I got edged on the first take profit. We get a higher low. Now I'm thinking, especially since I'm already long biased, now I'm thinking, okay, this might reverse on me. I'm willing to take the loss on the position, but I don't want to take a loss. So price comes down a bit. It edges me again, actually on this candle. Around 11, I think 11 or 11:05 candle, it edges me. So this is post where it actually closed lower. But at the open of this candle, we came down. We did not break this higher low and actually started to head back higher. At that point, I was like, you know what? Rather than holding and hoping we sink, I ended up just getting out, just market filled, and I got out at 68.65 just on a failure to go lower. I was wrong. It was not a failure to go lower. It was just more accumulation, and then we actually dumped. But I think the market only had one additional candle lower before it actually just chopped and headed higher. So left money on the table this day. Fine. Something I do need to work on, really just holding my positions through, because sometimes I have an issue holding it through when I have an issue holding it for full targets, but I never have an issue taking a loss. So I trust my system enough that I know I'll always protect my downside. So taking a full loss doesn't bother me. The issue is sometimes I'll get greedy and I don't want to take the full target, or I don't want my profits to come back on me. So I front run occasionally. This upcoming week, I'm definitely going to get ahead of it, but that is something that I've been struggling with. Now, Thursday. This was a good mental win. I took a loss, slight loss on the day. I lost $36. Now, I had a bigger picture plan. I had a big picture plan to go short. I went short early, and it cost me. So, no, I'm not sure where my other picture is. So, okay, yeah. Okay, so Thursday, I got short early. I had a zone at 68, 49.25 and 68, 53.50 at 6 confluences, all in this one area, acting as resistance for me to take a short position. So I had the 8 a.m. low, I had the opening range high, I had a psychological level, I had yesterday's low, and the 9 a.m. high, and VWAP, all right here. Price sold off, like straight off of the open. Then we consolidated a bit, and here's that 68.29 level again that I've been watching all week. Price fails to reclaim it and head higher. So now we get this candle, this huge outside candle. It tried to continue higher and sold straight off. When I get an outside candle, it can be tricky because I normally like to wait for a signal candle, like something like this or this, any one of these, and then a continuation candle based off of my levels as well. So like if this would have held above, this did hold above this level, closed above it, and then we got a continuation higher. That's my long setup. Normally I would get long here, but we have this huge overhead resistance, and I'm not going to get long against this resistance, especially after we sold off overnight. So I'm like, all right, price rallied, but then thanks. So now I turned from a continuation candle to an outside candle. That is a clear bearish signal that it's time to start going lower. So I get in short at 68.24 right here, just off of the break of this prior candle. And then I start putting in my targets. I always put my stop loss in like immediately. Like I already have it set to, once I enter, its stop loss is already set to 15 points, just standard on my platform on Tradevate. It sets it, and then I just adjust it as needed. Sometimes I'll push it back as far as I need to, and I'll bring it down as much as I need to, depending on how much risk I'm willing to put on the table. I still try to keep the dollar amount the same, anywhere between 300 to 500. So, I put my stop loss here at 68.37.25 because I'm like, all right, this should start heading lower. If this doesn't head lower like immediately, I'll just get stopped out quick. And I risked less than $200 on this because the best area was up here. So I was like, I'm gonna risk less than $200 and then just see what it does. Price comes here, comes down, stops me out before I even have a chance to set my targets. Like, I think this was 1R off my risk, and then 2R would have probably been a little bit lower. What is this? 13.25. Yeah, 2R would have probably been 67.95, 97 area. in that zone. Definitely a breakdown of 6,800 psychological level. But that doesn't happen. I literally get stopped out. Like I enter, and then within a minute, price just reverses and stops me out. And this right here happened in like a minute. It's huge engulfing candle. So I took that loss. Now I did break my rules. I took a second trade, even though I said I wasn't going to take a second trade. So we actually get up to this level. Like, see how huge this engulfing candle was? Just terrible. Now I take that first loss, and we get up here. We reject this confluence zone. And now I'm like super confident in this position. I'm like, dang, this is the level to take. So I don't have enough risk on the day to where I can just put another $300 out there. I mean, technically I could have, but that would have been poor risk management, especially after taking that first loss. This is pretty much just like emotional trading, trying to call the top, not wanting to accept the loss. But I was willing to take that risk. I took the risk. I put $150 on this position. Now, this was the best short of the month. When price rejected that level, the market pretty much just broke. I took a 1R because I'm like, okay, this is my second position. I'm just going to follow my rules. I'm not trying to make money on the day. I'm just focusing on my system. I'm like, okay, I really wanted to hold it and like get a full break even and remove this $36 loss because I'm like, I just want to, but I didn't want to be emotional. I didn't want to get greedy. So I was like, you know what? I'm just take my 1R, close my position, and I walked away for the day. 9 times out of 10, that's usually the best thing to do after taking an initial loss. Take your win and move on. It's not about how much you can make on a day like that. It's more about just protecting your downside and moving on. But FOMO did happen immediately because from the point I got out here at my 1R, the market just sold off another 25 points, like straight down. Let's use this chart. 5-minute chart. Okay, so when I get out here, market continues selling for another 20 minutes straight, 25 points straight down. We consolidate a bit, consolidate, but we're inching lower. So we consolidated, but we're still going lower. The market breaks from my position, from my short position, it breaks damn near 100 points straight down. 100 points. And I'm like, all right, this is the day that we get true continuation. And like in the futures market, we don't really get a lot of continuation this aggressively. It's usually just a return to median type of situation. It pulls back or it extends in one direction, then it comes back and it consolidates for a bit, and then you'll inch lower or higher, whichever way the trend is. But this aggressive of a move, and I think the prior day we also had like 100-point day on SPY, ES, which normally we're averaging around like 60 points a day. So I'm watching 100-point move, and now this is just straight FOMO. I'm like, oh man. But I remained disciplined. I did not take any other trades, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm just gonna move on. Now, I didn't realize it, but let me fix this. I didn't realize it, but it bled into Friday. So you can already see, like, I traded like an idiot on Friday morning. So something I've been noticing is I trade on the hourly chart. So I've been noticing like my system has been developed. This was the day before, like 100-point sell-off, just straight FOMO. But I've been noticing my setups have been forming during the pre-market. Like, and I get up pretty early. So I'm up, I'm looking at the charts. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. Where is it? I don't know why the time zone shows it like this. Yeah, I don't know why the time zone shows it like this. But at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, I see my setup form. I see it. So 7 o'clock in the morning, we have a 7 a.m. low. And I don't take any trades between the 6 to 7 a.m. transition. I'm just like, whatever. I looked at it, but I'm like, dang, today could be a really big day. So we create a low. I didn't take that first position, and I'm trading pre-market. I normally don't trade pre-market, but all week I'm seeing my position, my setups form inside of the pre-market. So I'm like, all right, man, today is the day. I'm gonna take a pre-market trade. And I had things to do. I had things to do in the afternoon. So I was like, if I can get out earlier, great. So I come in, I think around 7:55. Yeah, I took this 7:55. 7:55. Yeah. I see my setup. I take the short. 5-point risk to make 10 points. A little over 10 points. I risk about 250 on the position. Man, we consolidate. I'm like, dang, maybe I'm tripping. Like I'm tripping. We consolidate. Price comes down to 1R. I'm up $250. But I want the $500. Now this is where greed starts to step in. I'm like, all right, I need that $500. So I'm not gonna interrupt my trades like I've been doing before. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, you're trading pre-market, you should probably chill. So I take 50% off. Here, just lock in 50%. A little bit, actually, like I locked in a little bit past 1R. So I locked in like $177. Price pulls back, and I move my stop to break even. Price pulls back like immediately and stops me on break even. I'm like, dang. So I done left all this on the table. Then I watch price just look perfect for continuation. So now I am like doing everything I can to make that $500. And I start aggressively scalping it. And it's like, here, I'll even show the execution. I start aggressively scalping it. I'm taking $6, $12, $18, $15. And then I take a position and I lose $187. And I'm like, damn, you're trading like, and here's the 1 minute chart. I'm not trading on the 1 minute chart, but just for context, this is just a mess. Like, there's no way I can actually explain what I'm doing here. This is literally just a mess. And I take one more trade. I make $191. Or 100 plus 5, whatever. $191. And I say to myself, I think we're around here somewhere on the chart, maybe a little lower. And I'm like, dang, Brian, you're sitting here, you're trading, and you're exactly at $177. I just spent the last maybe 15, 20 minutes of my morning just being greedy, not getting anywhere. And I wanted to keep going. And then I thought to myself, man, this is the beautiful part about trading. This is just the freedom and the time aspect. So I sit back and I'm like, man, taking away all the stupid trades. I mean, man, you made $177 in about, what is this? 5, 10, 15, about 15 minutes. $177 in about 15 minutes. Now, at my old job, before I went full time, I only used to make about $200 a day. And that was me working a whole 8-hour shift. So I'm like, all right, you made $177 in about 15 minutes, but then I extended it to maybe about 40 minutes. So I made $177 in less than an hour. Am I really about to just mess up my whole day for a couple extra bucks? And that's when I was like, I stepped in front of the greed, and I was like, you know what, I'm done for the day. And I just chilled. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna call it here. I sent a message in the Discord, the Strong Trading Discord, to keep myself accountable, pretty much let everybody know I went on tilt. And then I sent a message to my coach Tanner. I'm like, hey, I went on tilt. This is the position I did. This is what happened. And I stepped in front of it, which was a great win mentally, because I could have turned this into a losing day. This could have ended really badly. In all of that, I only took one loss, but that one loss was a big loss compared to all of the small bits of money I was just scalping and taking out of the market. Now, this should have been a $500 day, but I messed it up. I was just being greedy. And I say all that to say, just like a bottom line, like, as a trader, we need to stop focusing on trying to make money. Our job as a trader is just to execute clean setups. We have probabilistic losses, good risk management, and we're just getting involved in the market. That's all we're doing. We're just the market is going to go wherever it's going to go. If it's going to go up, it's going to go down. It's going to do its own thing. We just need to execute our system, and over time, our equity curve will be positive if you have a proven system. And I know my system works. It's just lately I've been a bit greedy. So that was my week as a whole. I made $630, which is great. I'm getting closer towards my expectancy as far as my win rate. My win rate is normally about 73 to 84%. It's great. Profit factor this week, 2.4%. So pretty much for every dollar I risked, I made twice that, which is great. Yeah, definitely a great bounce back from last week. And I got a couple of takeaways for this week, same as I had last week. So this week, 2 takeaways. I need to let my trades fully play out, especially because I don't have an issue sitting through a 1 hour loss. I sit through a 1 hour loss. It's fine. I've done the math. I know what my risk of ruin is. I know how many losses in a row it'll take to blow my account. So sitting through a loss is not a big thing for me. But when I get to my take profits, I either get greedy or I get very fearful. And that messes me up. So those 2 emotions, I got to find a way to step in front of this upcoming week. And I need to let it fully trade out. Maybe I'll just completely walk away from my desk and go to the gym or something. Second takeaway, I only really need one position. And for a long time, I only ever took one position. Recently, I've been taking more than one position. But with my system, and because my system is formed on the hourly chart, my one position, technically on a good day, especially like a day like Thursday or a day like Tuesday, my setups can run the whole day if I do my job correctly. And it can be a good day. It can be anywhere between 300 to 500. I think on Tuesday, if I didn't close out, it would have been like a $1,000 day. So if I didn't close out early, is what I meant to say. And then same thing on Friday. If I didn't close out early, it would have been a $500 day. I need to just allow that one position to be the position for the day. I need to just let that go and just focus on that. How am I going to do this? Some implementation. I'm going to back test. I'm going to back test the entire last week, same setups, and I'm just going to compare my results to what I actually did. I'm going to compare my true expectancy, which would be my back testing, just letting everything play out, whether it's 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, versus what I actually took this past week. Because as you guys know, your back testing when you're strictly mechanical is going to have one result, but then in the market, your emotions get involved and that's going to have another result. So my goal is always to get as close to my expected performance. Actually, I got it from this guy, Trader Ducks. He's a big trader. I can't remember his name. I feel like it's Trader Ducks. He's a cool dude. I watch a lot of his videos. But what he does is he has a system. He sees the expectancy, and then his job for the entire month, quarter, year, whatever his timeline is he wants to get as close to his true expectancy as possible. And since I heard that, that's something that I've always worked towards. That's why I'm very big on like back testing, collecting my data, doing my notes, doing all the back end work so that I can be as mechanical as possible. So that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend, putting myself back in the right framework to just let my trades play out and only taking that one. You only need one good position. You know, trading is career. You're not going to make, well, you can, but you're not always going to make hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. You're going to have a couple losing days. The whole goal is just losing a lot less than you make and overall making more money or making more winning trades than losing trades. Yeah. So that's it. That is my week as a whole. Next week, I'm going to drop another video updating my week. Hopefully it's a bigger week than this week. You know, we just continue compounding and progressing. You know, as I make more profits in this account, I'll start adding even more size. Right now, still going to stay in my same $300 to $500 range. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, guys. Peace.